Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we're the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Several lawmakers are pushing for a total ban or at the very least tighter control of online gambling in the country.
15 active police officers linked to the disappearance of several Sabongeros are now under restrictive custody at Camp Crame.
Authorities are investigating a viral bullying incident involving two students who allegedly mauled a male classmate in Basilan.
Food vendors have been allowed to return to the streets of Manila but must follow regulations of the LGU.
First in the news, Senator Mig Zubiri is pushing for a total ban on all forms of online gambling in the Philippines, including those authorized by PAGCOR. Under the Anti-Online Gambling Act filed by the Senator, online gambling will not only face stricter regulations, but will be completely prohibited. Zubiri argued that even with tighter regulations, operators often still find ways to get around the law. With this, he called on the president to support the move, saying a clear position from the country's highest official would carry great weight.
Dito din sa online gaming, it will take the president a lot of political will. Because Filipino operated ito, marami din siya kaibigan na nagmamayari nito mga kumpanya na ito. And I think he will show great leadership. No, he will show great leadership if he puts an end to this online gaming and gambling for the Filipino people. Na makikita talaga na without fear or favor, for the good of the country, we can earn this 47 billion elsewhere.
Meanwhile, Senator J.V. Ejercito called for the government to impose stricter controls, calling electronic gambling worse than Philippine offshore gaming operators or POGOs. Prior to that, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian had also filed a bill that seeks to impose stricter regulations against online gambling. Over at the lower chamber, Akbayan's Contra E-Sugal bill aims to limit access to online gambling platforms to individuals aged 21 and above.
Meanwhile, Malacanang said President Bongbong Marcos is open to the Department of Finance's proposal to tax online gaming operators as long as it's backed by a thorough study. In a briefing, Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro said the president is closely monitoring the situation and understands public concern over the rise in gambling addiction. She added that the government is also looking to strengthen regulations, especially against unregistered and illegal online gambling operations. When asked if the issue will be included in President Marcos's upcoming State of the Nation address, Castro said it's still uncertain, especially with a senator also pushing for a total ban on online gambling in the country.
Ang Pangulo po ay nakikinig kung ano nangyayari sa ating mga kababayan at kung ano man po ang bill na ipapasa nila, ito'y pag-aaralan mabuti, kung ito'y makakabuti sa ating ekonomiya and at the same time makakabuti para sa taong bayan. Gusto natin limitahan ang itong klaseng mga pagsusugal at mabawasan ang mga gumon sa sugal. At ito po ay para sa taong bayan at ang lahat ng pwedeng suggestion at maaaring batas para ito ay masawata, hindi naman po yan tututulan ng ating Pangulo.
Some lawmakers are calling for a total ban or at the very least stricter regulations of online gambling in the country. Mobile Journal Amy Atienza has the report.
More lawmakers filed their House bills and resolutions this Monday. Some include acts on gambling and the prevention of NAIA privatization. Following Akbayan Party List Representative Chel Jokno's move on fighting the Contra E-Sugal bill, Lanao del Sur 1st District Representative Zia Adyong has this to say.
Ako, alam mo, sa totoo lang, sa buong mundo, marami po sa mga ibang countries na talagang binaban na po yung gambling. In fact, naban na nga po natin ang Pogo dito. If we ban the Pogo in real and in its physical form, why can't we do that virtually?
Adyong added that he supports this notion as online gambling affects one's mental and moral fiber, especially if not practiced moderately. The Contra Isugal bill includes policies such as limiting online gambling access to individuals below 21 years old, and its advertisements will be banned in public places. The bill also proposes a 10% tax to allocate on addiction rehabilitation, education, enforcement, and addiction, while the government is required to adopt a comprehensive approach to reduce the harms of online gambling among Filipinos.
I really do support, and I'm actually contemplating on filing the same measure. Kasi unang-una, ang mismong PAGCOR ang nagsasabi, let's have a stricter regulation on e-gambling, di ba?
Meanwhile, Kabataan Party List Representative Rene Co and ACT Teachers Party List Representative Antonio Tino focused their bills on stopping privatization of Ninoy Aquino International Airport. Last February, it has been reported that the San Miguel Corporation has secured a 170 billion fund for the rehabilitation of NAIA.
Iniimbestigahan natin yung mga anomalya na nakikita, na observe natin sa process ng pagkakaroon ng privatization through, and ito yung ginagawa ng SMC RAP Consortium, no? Na hindi lang sa dito sa NAIA nag-handle, pero may hinahandle ding mga ibang airports na binibuild ngayon.
Migrante Philippines spokesperson Ever Delina vouches this action of Co and Tino.
Yung pong pagtaas po ng terminal fees, 500 to 950, kami po ay apektado doon sapagkat hindi naman po namin yung napapakinabangan. Paglabas po namin pagpasok po namin at paglabas ng bansa, pipila po kami ng katakot-takot. Grabe na po ng hirap namin sa labas ng bansa.
The second batch of new members of the House of Representatives also convened their 3-day executive course on legislation this Monday. Mobile journalist Amy Atienza, we are One News.
Yan. So, sunod-sunod ngayon yung mga issue nga tungkol nga dito sa online gambling. And a lot of lawmakers, both in the House of Representatives and the Senate, are filing left and right ng mga bills. Oo. Si Senator Mig Zubiri, gusto niya total ban. Online gambling, we're talking about online gambling. But others naman, like si Senator Win Gatchalian, mga stricter regulations lang. Also in the House of Representatives, sila Akbayan Representative Chel Jokno, and other senators as well. So ang tanong dito, paano magpupush itong batas na ito when iba-iba din para talaga yung mga gustong gawin ng mga lawmakers?
Well, at the very least, siguro ang mangyayari dito is stricter regulations. No? Mahihirapan sila kasi to totally ban it kasi meron already mga certain companies na malalaki, na legit naman yung karamihan, nag-invest already. So siguro if ibaban ang gambling, siguro they'll ease it out gently. But in the meantime, I don't see it getting banned totally. Medyo radical
Right. All right, to talk about online gambling and all of its issues, we have on the Zoom right now, audio only, via phone, we have Senator JV Ejercito. Senator, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Ayan, thanks for joining us. This is Angelo and Angela Castro. Sir, umpisa po ng tanong namin dito is paano po natin makoconsolidate itong mga iba't ibang mga bills, especially here in the Senate where Senator Mig Zubiri has filed a measure to totally ban online gambling?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I have already seen about 3 other legislators who filed similar measures. No? I myself also am filing this afternoon for my second round of bills, another bill on regulation of online gambling. No? Hindi pa naman total ban, but we will see. No? But once we start session already, there will be a hearing. So then we will decide on plenary after all the hearings that whether to ban totally or regulate. Because it's really disturbing right now, no? Because a lot of, as I mentioned, mas malala ito sa Pogo. Kasi Pogo, at least foreign money. But this one, it's ordinary Filipinos are victimized. No? And if you pass through, EDSA right now, I can see that about 7 out of 10 billboards here are online gambling or gaming. So it's the social consequences will just be enormous, no? If if this is not regulated or it's not prohibited.
So Senator, as of this moment, your stand is to regulate. Kasi ang punto po ni Senator Mig Zubiri is if sa Pogo nga total ban natin but hindi natin magawa sa mas malala, which is what's happening now sa online.
Well, we will have to, that's why we'll have a hearing on this. Then we will decide whether to totally ban or regulate, no? Because my word here, Angela, is that I think yung mga e-wallet, yung mga GCash, becomes an enabler to these online gaming corporations. It's very easy for anybody to just bet through GCash and the other e-wallet application. So probably we can start from there. Siguro dapat itong mga e-wallet and the payment scheme, GCash, should not allow their apps to be used for online gaming. And I think that will greatly reduce those who will play, no? Using online applications.
I was wondering, Senator, why are you for stricter regulation po ng online gambling? Hindi po ba natin to nakikita na i-total ban na lang po muna siya? Or do you also believe, like what Senator Sherwin Gatchalian said, na baka mas dumami lang yung underground kung ito total underground operations, no? Kung hindi ito total ban?
Well, I agree with Senator Gatchalian that could be a possibility, no? That the underground operations might just proliferate. So we will hear both sides. Then we will decide whether to totally ban. I'm open to also totally banning it because as I mentioned, ordinary folks, no? And I'm worried because even the youth are very susceptible to this online gaming already. So I'm open to totally banning it if that warrants, no? Because as I mentioned, I am very much worried of the social consequences that nauubos even ordinary, as I mentioned, ordinary workers, nauubos yung pera nila, no? Hand to mouth na nga lang, maubos pa dito sa gaming.
Well, I'm sure, no, since kanya-kanyang filing kayo ng kanya-kanyang version and eventually magko-consolidate po kayo, but do you already have, does your office have a study already? Just in case, let's hypothetically you go for a total ban, how do we go about po replacing the jobs that might be lost and also yung possible income na 40+ billion pesos?
Well, we just have to weigh it sometimes. No? Sometimes the lure of the revenues that will be derived from these online gaming corporations is just tempting, no, for government. No? But at the same time, we just have to weigh it. As I mentioned, the social consequences
that's right.
You cannot put any value on this because this will destroy society. So we just have to find other ways, other revenue sources, so that we can cover whatever will be lost in case there will be a total ban on online gaming.
All right, taking this opportunity na rin, Senator, to ask you regarding what's happening in the Senate and the 20th Congress. Kasi yung usapin po ng mga kung sino yung papanig sa minority bloc, sa majority, and sa independent. Totoo po ba na maaari pong, saan po kayo papanig kung sakasakali? At totoo po ba yung mga naririnig po naming mga sinasabi na maaaring mag-iisa lang si Senator Risa Ontiveros sa minority bloc?
Well, I have to admit that I'm torn. I served under Senate President Tito Soto and I owe him a lot. Two of my landmark legislations, namely Universal Healthcare Act and the creation of the Department of Human Settlements or Department of Housing. He was the Senate President and I was able to pass these laws and he really supported and pushed me for these landmark legislations to be passed. And he is my party mate in the Nationalist People's Coalition.
Right.
On the other hand, I'm already part of the leadership as Deputy Majority Leader under Senator Escudero right now. So it's just siguro etiquette or that I respect and that I do not or courtesy that I probably, if in case there be change in leadership, I'll be one of the last because I'm part of the of the leadership of Senate President Escudero. In the same manner that during the time of Senator Zubiri, I did not leave him at the last minute. Hindi ko po iniwan si Senator Zubiri. So I guess in the same way that I have to stick it out with Senator Escudero, he gave me the trust and confidence by designating me as the Deputy Majority Leader of the Senate.
Pero were you able to talk to Senator Mig Zubiri na rin po? Kasi right now, he's been answering questions from the media and saying na kung sakasakali, he's going to be supporting a dark horse sa Senate presidency.
Well, we are in a group called Seatmates. So, for a long time, we were a block, but we respect each other's opinions, so and positions. And for that matter, we will respect Senator Zubiri's position on this, that he will be supporting Senator Soto or any dark horse. But again, I just
all right.
As part of the leadership, I'll probably I cannot leave Senator Escudero at this point.
Doon po sa issue ng impeachment, Senator, I'm sure you're also aware of this, of what people or the public are saying about the Senate na ay naku, abolish na nga yung Senate na yan, hindi kayo nakikinig sa public concern, etc. What do you have to say about that regarding po doon sa mga nagiging proseso po ngayon sa Senate Impeachment Court?
Whether our position is in for or against, it's our constitutional duty to go through the process. So, the impeachment court has been convened already and
Senator?
Constituted. So, we just cannot
Senator?
make any shortcuts. So, I think we will be resuming very soon.
Yes, Senator, when you mean go through the process, are you saying even the motions to dismiss and to vote on it, or are you specifically talking about going to trial?
Well, we will decide as a body, and I think it is our constitutional duty again to go through the trial, to go through the process as I mentioned, because this talks about accountability. Although personally, as I mentioned before in my previous interviews,
Senator? Nawawala si Senator. It's our internet connection. Senator, are you still there? Senator?
I'm present because, it's somehow a political perception of political instability abroad. And, we have a lot of things to focus on. And I'm hoping that if we indeed go through it, the trial, that it will be speedy so that we can go back to our challenges that we really have to look into, infrastructure, energy, and others.
All right, before we let you go, can we circle back dun po sa inyo pong sinabi kanina that you'll be filing some of your bills today. Can we get a glimpse na po of those bills na ipafile nyo po today?
I'm filing a supplemental budget for PhilHealth of 75 billion for next year. So ito po yung budget that was taken on 2025. So I'm hoping that we can file a supplemental budget so that we can restore, so that PhilHealth will have better packages, and other it will improve their benefit packages and other things that is needed to implement the universal health care. And I also filed a comprehensive master plan for infrastructure development, because that's one of my advocacies, infra development, so that we can really stimulate economic growth. Well, I've also filed, as we discussed earlier, a regulation or probably a ban online gambling, and among others. So we an amendment to the Universal Healthcare Act and Magna Carta for BHW, and a lot more.
Alright. On that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, Senator J.V. Ejercito.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Benny Abante is set to be proclaimed as the duly elected congressman of the city's 6th district. The COMELEC yesterday issued a certificate of finality and entry of judgment on the disqualification of Abante's opponent, Joey Chua Uy. The poll body said that the Supreme Court did not issue a temporary restraining order or TRO against the ruling within the 5-day reglementary period. Although he obtained the highest number of votes, the COMELEC nullified Uy's proclamation for being a naturalized Filipino.
Following the 2025 midterm elections, poll watchdog PPCRV reports a 99.9% match rate between electronically transmitted returns and their corresponding physical copies. Here's the report.
Almost 2 months since the 2025 national and local elections, the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, or PPCRV, presented its finding from the parallel counting it conducted, based from more than 90,000 precincts throughout the Philippines. Led by PPCRV spokesperson Ana Singson, the past election was called generally peaceful despite the various recorded issues. Among listed incidents are the various cases of overvoting. Voters encountered mismatches on their receipts where candidates they didn't vote for appeared on the paper. PPCRV is certain that this is the first time they encountered the issue since the automated elections started in the Philippines in 2010. According to PPCRV, this could be caused by smudges from pen inks that are used to shade the ballots and inks drying too long. Another finding is that it might be caused by inks in voters' thumb marks as they are required to certify a form before getting their ballots. PPCRV is also seriously considering that this might also be due to a lower threshold of ballots, which used to be at 25% in 2022 elections and is only at 15% now.
Our advocacy is for champ elections, elections that are clean, even if we have to dig for the data. We're honest, we will work for that, that are accurate, and that's what we're doing here. In spite of just 3 mismatches, we continue with our commitment in a meaningful and peaceful way.
Singson also added that the parallel count conducted by PPCRV on 61,482 election returns from different parts of the Philippines matches 99.909% with the transparency server, the highest in the history of PPCRV parallel count. Only 3 discrepancies were flagged by the group, and that they came from different precincts from different parts of the country. COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia personally attended the press conference and vowed to address the issues raised by PPCRV.
We fully agree with all the findings and the recommendation of PPCRV. Actually, bago po nila nilahad yun sa publiko, more or less ganun din yung findings. Siguro sa darating na mga election natin, talagang yung mga recommendation na binibigay ng PPCRV, yan ang i-insist natin. Kaya nga sabi ko nga kanina sa isang commissioner ko, madami tayong mga pag-uusapan, pagpapatawag kagad tayo ng mga pagpupulong upang ma-adjust natin yung ating yung mga naging issue na yan para sa susunod na election kahit maliit lang, yung Bangsamoro parliamentary election, hindi na mangyari yan hanggat maaari, ma-minimize man lang kung hindi mo talaga maalis completely.
Mobile Journal Arles de los Santos. We are One News.
Well, itong results ng PPCRV is something what COMELEC Chairman George Garcia expected, no? But siyempre, ang goal nga niya, based sa mga interviews natin, is eventually 100% match. If meron discrepancy, it's not because of faulty returns, but siguro, discrepancy in the system na may nagkakamali na poll watcher na nagbibigay, poll watcher, yung mga mga teachers facilitate ng pagboto, minsan nagkakamali sa pagmarka, nagkakamali, may dumi sa... O
yung mismong nag-vote, di ba, ang daming incidents ng overvoting, di ba? We all know naman, di ba, nagkaroon ng demo dito si spokesperson.
Di ba, pag nag-overvote ka, nullified yung buong...
Lau Jiangco.
Nullified yung buong 12.
Pwede kang mag-undervote, di ba, hindi mo kumpletuhan yung 12 na senators, pero pag nag-overvote ka, doon mananalify yun.
Kaya siguro...
Kaya ang daming issues ng gano'n.
Sa physical election return, when you take a look at, let's say, ang isang paper na may overvote, 13 votes, bakit i-count nila yung 12 pero the machine does not count any? So siguro yung 0.9% discrepancy can come from that. But based sa machine tsaka yung software performance, yan ang tina-target talaga ng Comelec. Gaito ka-accurate. They were gunning for that. And eventually, sabi niya, suntok sa buwan, 100% tayo.
I remember merong di ba, may parang case na final si, yung natalo na senator, si, Jimmy Bondoc.
Jimmy Bondoc.
O, di ba, para asking for, recount.
Ano Let Me Be? Ay, kanta,
Let Me Be.
Yung kanta niya. Oo. Nakalimutan ko si attorney kasi ano siya.
Attorney Jimmy Bondoc.
Ano siya, musician din siya. Yeah. Anyway.
So, yun nga, di ba, sabi niya gusto niya ng recount. Pero, sabi nga ni Chairman George kasi, welcome naman yung mga ganyan.
Oo, malayo-layo siya
Oo. Kasi nga, inaano nila yung ang tawag dito, yung anong tawag doon?
Per vote ang bayad yan, Per vote ang bayad yan, per review.
Yung efficiency ng naging vote ng
yan yung sagot. PPCRV na nagsabi, PPCRV na nagsabi. This is another third-party watchdog.
Going back din doon kay Congressman Benny Abante, which we were trying to get hold of. Kaya lang kasi, I think as of the moment, ongoing yung kanyang oath-taking. Diba? Makakausap siya sana natin, matanong siya kung ano yung mga reactions niya dito sa kanyang pagkakapanalo because others would say na he only secured his seat via a legal challenge, hindi sa voter preference. Although, roughly 3,000 lang naman yung lamang niya dun sa...
May point naman.
Although, hindi pa rin siya yung panalo kung voters preference yung pag-uusapan.
Sasabihin kasi nila, hindi naman siya pinili talaga tao. But hypothetically, take a look at it this way. If hindi pinayagan si Congressman Joel Chua, Uy, hindi siya pinayagan tumakbo because of yung hindi siya qualified. In the first place, maybe the votes would have gone to. So, hindi natin malalaman yun because he is a invalid candidate in the first place. So based sa process, we have Congressman Abante returning to his position.
So, ayun nga, sinasabi nga din nila na nagdesisyon na yung Comelec, pero wala naman ding naging decision from the Supreme Court yung temporary restraining order. Kaya as of now, status ko sila, tutuloy-tuloy nila kung ano yung decision. As for the issue kung paano yung meron kasing dalawang registration daw sa Certificate of Proclamation seat doon sa 6th District ng Manila. Diba? Una, of course, yung kay Joey Uy, and yung pangalawa itong kay Benny Abante. Basta sinasabi ng Comelec, ginawa na namin yung duty namin, 'di ba, doon sa pagde-decide. Kung doon sa issue ng legal and membership issue, bahala na sila mag-decide on that part. All right, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. PNP Region 9 is investigating a viral bullying incident involving 2 students who allegedly mauled a male classmate inside a Basilan campus. The victim was first brought to a hospital in Isabela City, then transferred to Zamboanga City due to serious injuries. His parents have filed a complaint with the Isabela City Police and plan to press charges. The suspects are now in the joint custody of the local police and the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD.
PNP Chief Nicolas Torre III believes there could be more policemen involved in the disappearance of Sabongeros. Mobile Journal Arles de los Santos has the details.
Wala kaming sasantuhin dito, we will leave no stones unturned.
This is PNP Chief Nicolas Torre III's assurance as the preliminary investigation on the disappearance of dozens of Sabongeros go into full swing. The country's top cop confirms 15 policemen are currently under restrictive custody at the Camp Crame after being tagged in the crime. Some of PNP officers' names appeared in petty cash vouchers submitted as evidence by Julie Dondon Patidongan alias Totoy, the self-proclaimed whistleblower in the case. One is a lieutenant colonel. Torre believes there could be more policemen involved.
Basta marami sa kanila is nasa support units, may mga galing sa region, may mga sa APC, ina-account natin at may mga, lahat sila active. May isa is, except for one due for retirement at 3 na dismissed. dati na dismissed ang identified na mga pangalan na yan.
Patidongan is now under protective custody of the Philippine National Police. General Torre admits they have been in talks with alias Totoy as well as other witnesses since he was CIDG chief. And per Torre's initial investigation, the victims were burned, buried, and disposed not just in Taal Lake but in other places as well. The PNP chief declined to comment if there are other higher-ranking officials implicated in what could be a massive abduction and murder case.
In the interest of fair play, bigyan natin sila ng pagkakataon din na sagutin yung mga reklamo laban sa kanila. Pero isang sigurado rito, hindi namin sila bibigyan ng puwang na paglaruan ng ating justisya.
For his part, Justice Secretary Boying Remulla also confirmed being in discussions with Patidongan for months now. The alleged whistleblower's application for the DOJ's Witness Protection Program is underway.
Nagkaharap kami 2 months ago at nagkaharap kami ulit 1 month ago. May copy na kami yan. May copy na kami. Binigyan niya na kami ng copy. Ang problema kasi rito, these people were identified as forming part of the group na hindi lang dumukot, ngunit tumapos sa buhay ng mga sabongero. At ang mahalaga lang talaga rito ay maging malinaw ang kanilang partisipasyon dito sa mga pangyayaring tinutukoy natin.
Remulla says there are more witnesses willing to come forward to reveal what they know about the case. The DOJ is committed to hearing all of them out. The Justice Department also discloses that the Supreme Court is investigating members of the judiciary who allegedly fixed businessman Atong Ang's case. SC has not confirmed this. Recall that Patidongan has linked a former judge in Mandaluyong City to Ang, a gambling industry tycoon.
Basta yung ibang behavior na inaano namin, naharta namin, na hindi maganda para sa justice system. Iba. Basta they're doing their job. Ano naman sila eh? Hindi naman sila balit sibuyas eh. They're very sensitive about what should be done to improve our justice system. And that's what we've been agreeing on since we started 3 years ago with the Justice Sector Coordinating Council. Kaya we're always in agreement with regards to how to improve the justice system. And the Supreme Court is the best ally that we have for this.
Apart from Atong Ang and actress Gretchen Barreto, the so-called Alpha Group of Manila Arena has 18 other members now being investigated, and the DOJ says it has the full list.
Ito yung Alpha Group na ating pinanonood ngayon, kung sino-sino ito at kung ano ang kanilang partisipasyon. Kasi kinakailangan yan lahat ma-validate. I cannot reach any conclusions right now, pero syempre the witness is the best person to say that. No? We cannot put words into the mouth of the witness. At meron din kami hawak na written statement na that serves as a guide para sa aming pagtingin sa kasong ito.
Mobile Journal Arles de los Santos. We are One News.
State volcanologists are warning of a possible eruption at Taal volcano in Batangas following recent signs of increased seismic activity. According to PHIVOLCS, there has been a rise in real-time seismic energy and low sulfur dioxide emissions since last month, an indication that while gas is not visibly escaping from the crater, pressure may be building beneath the surface. Experts explain that a possible blockage in volcanic pathways could lead to short-term pressurization, potentially triggering a steam-driven or minor magmatic eruption. As a precaution, local authorities in Batangas are enforcing strict monitoring and ensuring that no one enters the volcano's permanent danger zone.
Hindi naman necessarily sasabog kaagad, pero possible na sign ito na nagkakaroon ng pressure build-up, kaya kailangan natin bandayan. For as long as you have the right ingredients, you have water coming into contact with hot volcanic materials, pwede pong magkaroon ng pagsabog.
Yes, to also clarify nila, it's going to be steam-driven explosions, not the other kind, yung madami daw lava, madaming bato na lumalabas. It's better for the people of, within the Taal area, less damage, less pollution if it's steam-driven.
And of course, dito rin natin inuugnay yung issue ng mga missing sabongero. We all know that, na yung according dun sa whistleblower na si Totoy, ay sinasabi niya dito daw nilagay, no, tinapon yung mga missing sabongero, yung mga labi ng mga missing sabongero. And sinasabi nga ni DOJ Secretary Boying Remulla na possible din na magkaroon na ng search, no, doon sa area. Unahin nila yung fish pond lease, no? Doon na tinatawag nila. The operation would start at a fish pond lease reportedly held by one of the suspects. Doon daw muna uumpisa yung point of the search doon sa mga missing sa Bongara. But of course, I'm assuming kapag may mga ganitong klaseng pagbanta, di ba, ng possible magmatic eruption dyan sa Taal, ay maaring i-postpone muna yung kanilang search. But then again, yun nga, sinasabi nila na para nga once and for all, mapatunayan kung totoo ba yung sinasabi nitong whistleblower na to, titignan natin. Pero syempre, yung ibang mga sinasabi ng mga nakakaalam dito, di ba, na possible, makita pa yung mga buto kung nasa mababaw lang siya nailagay dahil hindi siya kaagad magde-decompose. Pero kung nasa malalim dahil walang oxygen at mataas yung acidic level, baka wala din makita. Diba?
Well, we all know naman any witness in any court of law, what is important is his corroborative evidence. Yeah. What do you mean? Another person validating the statement of the witness in question, or you have actual physical evidence in form of document or yung physical na tinuturo niya that corroborates his statement. And here, kahit buto yan at hindi mo makita yung katawan, if kung saan niya tinuro mismo kung saan tiyatambak yung katawan, ay makakahanap ng buto, tapos i-validate mo yung DNA and we get positive results, that means he was telling the truth. So his credibility goes up already. So yun lang naman ang hinahanap natin is if we can find even bones in that area, that brings partial closure already and helps the prosecution team establish that there were deaths that happened.
Exactly. And also, maaring tignan din nila itong mga naka-restrict na mga PNP members. Ba sinasabi PNP Chief Torre. Dati daw kasi prior pa siya maging PNP Chief, yung head pa siya ng CIDG, ay may mga kumakausap na daw sa kanya tungkol sa ganitong issue. So, maaring sabi niya, meron din daw mga possible other locations of body disposals. So, they will check that as well para makita nga nila. Para dun sa pakipagtulungan ng investigation dito sa missing sa Bongeros.
This is a right step into taking down big fish if found guilty. It's because the issue at hand is yung accusation against Charlie Atongang is even hanggang judiciary daw ang galamay.
Yes.
But we're not saying at this point that he's guilty. We're just merely saying it's a right step in taking a look at all possible angles na never mo naisip nung unang panahon magagawa. So, let's wait until after the mga explosions to check out yung evidence at hand. And let's see moving forward kung ano yung meron ng DOJ when the proper cases are filed.
Well, si Toto is applying already for witness protection program. Pero sabi nga ng DOJ, they will check pa. They will,
if he's the least guilty.
If the least guilty, yan ang regulation natin. Kung siya yung least guilty, then pwede siya sa mag-apply ng witness protection program.
Alright, in other news, veteran lawmakers are open to supporting a dark horse candidate for the Senate presidency. This comes amid talks that the camp of Senator Cheese Escudero has secured the support of the so-called supermajority in the upper chamber. Here's the report.
Not just a majority, but a supermajority. That's how strong the support is for Senate President Cheese Escudero, at least according to Senate President Pro Tempore Jinggoy Estrada. Estrada said a resolution backing Escudero's leadership is making the rounds among senators.
We have enough numbers, more than 13, I suppose. And I think Senate President Cheese Escudero is already secured of having his next term as Senate President.
Senators Joel Villanueva and Alan Peter Cayetano have also voiced their support for Escudero. But former Senate President Mig Zubiri had a different take, saying he's rooting for Senator Tito Soto to return as Senate Chief.
Di wow. Congratulations. Pagka ganun, anything can still happen. Gusto sana namin protektahan ang integridad ng Senado. Maawa na kayo. Bugbog ng Senado. Sa matang tao, bugbog ng Senado. So, never say die.
Zubiri also voiced frustration over how committee chairmanships were assigned, claiming some qualified senators were left out.
Yung chairmanship kasi na yun, parang binibigay sa mga not so qualified. Dahil nga, hampas lupa na kami. Dead hungry, patay gutom na kami. So, paglaban na namin yung integridad ng Senado.
Estrada quickly clapped back, questioning who Zubiri was referring to as unqualified and challenging him to name names. Zubiri said that if Soto fails to win the leadership, he's ready to rejoin the minority bloc in the Senate.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Now, beneficiaries of the Department of Social Welfare and Development's Walang Gutom program can now purchase rice for just 20 pesos per kilo. The initiative, officially launched in Tondo, Manila, expands access to affordable rice beyond Kadiwa outlets. The program has also been rolled out in other regions, including Cebu and Caraga. Over 300,000 Filipinos are currently enrolled in the program. They receive 3,000 pesos worth of food credits each month, which they use to buy food from DSWD accredited or registered local retailers.
Kung matatandaan nyo, ang utos ng ating Pangulo, itong B20, dapat ang nakikinabang dyan yung pinaka-vulnerable sa ating mga mamamayan. Ang walang gutom beneficiaries, yung 750,000 by next year, sila yung food poor o yung mahirap sa pinakamahirap. Ngayon, excited kami kasi kick-off na. Ibig sabihin, unti-unti, lahat ng retailer magkakaroon na ng 20 pesos na bigas.
To tell us more about the availability of 20 pesos per kilo rice under the Walang Gutom program, we're joined by DA Deputy Spokesperson and Assistant Secretary Joyce Panlilio. ASEC, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Angelo and Angela.
ASEC, how is the Department of Agriculture supporting ito nga pong rollout ng 20 pesos per kilo rice para po sa beneficiaries ng Walang Gutom program ng DSWD?
Yes, just like what you mentioned a while ago, we have launched yesterday with the DSWD the availability of the P20 rice to the beneficiaries of the Walang Gutom program. So with this, for yesterday's launching, we actually allowed the purchase of 20 kilos of rice per beneficiary. And of course, by this year, we are expanding also the number of beneficiaries of the WGP program to 600,000 and 750,000 next year. And the DA would ensure the supply would be available to these sites with the delivery of our NFA rice to them with the coordination with the Food Terminal Incorporated.
Pero meron po ba tayo, ASEC, na enough stocks to sustain this long-term nationwide?
Yes, we have stocks for this, and the NFA is continuously procuring palay from our local farmers to ensure that our buffer stock is based on what the law requires.
Well, I was wondering po, ASEC, kung meron na po tayong information doon po. As I can remember po, no, na nagsimula po itong 20 pesos na rollout ng bigas doon sa mga selected beneficiaries natin like PWD, pregnant women, tsaka senior citizen, ay sinasabi po nila para po gumalaw din po yung mga stocks natin sa NFA. Ngayon po ba, kamusta po yung stocks natin doon? Malaki na po ba yung diferensya from where we started to now?
Meron na pong, marami naman pong nababawas, but because meron pa rin pong mga harvest ang ating mga farmers, so we still need more spaces para po pag nag-harvest po ay meron pa po tayong paglalagyan ng mga bigas from our farmers or ng mga palay from our rice farmers. That's why we are encouraging our kababayan to buy our P20 rice from the Kadiwa ng Pangulo outlets as well as in public markets in the local government units.
Yeah, ASEC, so yung intention nito is una sa mga taong nangangailangan talaga, but in the future po, do we see this rolling out to the general public or magiging exclusive lang ito sa mga nangangailangan?
Sa ngayon nga po, doon siya sa vulnerable members of the society. Plus, we also launched last June 13 for our minimum wage earners. So we allotted 10 kilos per minimum wage earner. And by the end of 2025, our target is to make it also available for at least 1 million minimum wage earners. And by January 2026, we will make it available to the public.
How do you identify po, or let's say yung taong bibili mismo, na to ensure na sila mismo ay yung talagang dapat bumili nun? Kasi baka magkaroon po ng mga issue ng hoarding or yung mga namimeke po ng identification system.
Sa ngayon po, we just ask for the IDs of our PWDs, seniors. For senior citizen, it's easy because we can see naman. And also for the solo parent, they have IDs also. And for PIS beneficiaries have IDs also. For the Walang Gutom program, they have what they call electronic benefit transfer card. So if you tap it, you will see the identity of the beneficiary as well as the food credit. So it's easy for that. So for the vulnerable sector, we still do the listing of what they already, how much were already bought. And we are actually also developing a card where we could see, or the beneficiary will be issued a card so that we will monitor efficiently the purchases as well as know the identity of the beneficiary of the P20.
Clarify ko lang, Asek, yung minention mo about yung seniors, no? Kasi may mga karamihan sa mga seniors, minsan they'll forget their IDs. Will they be allowed to purchase on-site? Let's say hindi nila nadala ang ID nila?
We, as much as possible, we want to allow them to purchase, and not they don't have the senior citizens ID. We allow any ID that will prove that they are senior citizens. And sometimes in our outlets, we have a list of the previous senior citizen that already bought, so we could double check in the list the name.
On the issue po of the quality of the rice being sold po at 20 pesos per kilo, kamusta po yung quality po nun? The same pa rin po ba doon sa quality when we launched this program months ago? Or may pagbabago po doon? Mas gumanda po ba? Your thoughts on that po?
It's the same well-milled rice, the 25% broken. And as a matter of fact, we still eat that in our office during lunch, and the quality is still the same.
Okay, so ano naman po yung ginagawa ng Department of Agriculture para po, of course, at the end of it all, aside po sa ating mga consumers, ay para po matulungan yung local farmers natin when it comes to introducing this program to the public. Kasi po, kumbaga, ang agam-agam din po ng ibang mga kababayan natin, at the end of the day, baka naman po yung mga farmers natin yung malugi dito.
Of course, we always put our farmers also on the top. We have to make sure their welfare is taken care of by the government. So we make sure na yung buying price ng palay will not go down from 17 to 18 for the wet palay. And for the dry palay, it's higher. It's 19 to 23 pesos. And aside from setting the minimum amount for the purchase price of the palay, we also ensure that the DA is continuously providing the interventions needed, such as inputs, as well as introducing modern technology, providing them with the necessary equipment and machinery, as well as the DA has been establishing the rice processing system for the milling of their rice. And of course, if you've heard in the news, there's already House Bill number 1. This would also expand the powers of the National Food Authority so that we could also sell the harvest of our farmers to the market, to the public, without a need of a food security emergency declaration, and also a public auction to dispose what has been stored in the warehouses of the NFA. So those are the interventions and the policies that we are looking into and that we are implementing at the moment to protect also our local rice farmers.
Lastly, Ma'am, it's good that you mentioned po yung mga interventions and equipment that we give out to our local farmers. I was wondering po kung where are we now in terms of yung mga dryers po, plant dryers or rice dryers po para sa ating mga farmers. Kasi nagkakaroon din po ng issue regarding that, saying na mas minamadali po ng mga farmers natin ang pagbebenta ng kanilang mga wet palay kasi wala po sila mga dryers, resulting to alam mo yun, parang okay, sige, papayag na lang kami sa magkano ibinibenta sa amin or bibili ng mga retailers.
At the DA, we have the National Rice Program. So that's one of the interventions that we provide, as well as the PhilMec also. We have funding from the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, which has been tripled because of the agricultural tarification law or the rice tarification law.
Right.
So it's going to be 30 billion by 2026. And one of the interventions that we would really provide to our farmers would be the dryer, so they don't need to sell their palay even if the prices are low. So we encourage our farmers to ensure that dry yung kanilang mga palay so that they could also command higher price for their harvest.
Right.
So at the moment, I don't have the exact number of the dryers that we've already distributed to our farmers, but we could provide you that later on. But definitely, that is one of the main interventions that we will provide to them to ensure higher income for them.
Alright, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, DA Deputy Spokesperson and Assistant Secretary Joyce Panilio. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much and good afternoon.
Alright, food vendors have been allowed to return to the streets of Manila but only on certain conditions. Para bigyan ng mukha ang balita, Mobile Journal, Merymon Reyes.
Nitong lumipas na linggo, nagligpit ang mga food and street vendors sa paligid ng Quiapo. Pero ngayon ay tila comeback na nila na sinasabing mas maluwag at maaliwalas na. Napuno muli ng ingay mula sa mga nagbebenta ng mga pagkain inumin, prutas at gulay, kung anek-anek lalo na sa mga mamimili ang bawat sulok ng Quiapo. Ibinalik na kasi ang mga vendor pero may kondisyon.
Yung mga sobra, bawasan nyo na po yan hanggang mga tapa.
Siguruhing susundin na ang mga linyang nakatakda sa bawat pwesto. Pabor naman ang mga vendor sa patakaran.
Sarap na sa pakiramdam dahil mabubusog na naman kami, makakain na naman ng tama. Okay lang yan para yung customer nakakalakad na maayos.
Hindi pa yan, dalawa? Pero ba't kayo umabot dito ng chicharon nyo?
Sa kanila, nakikigaya lang ako eh.
Pero ngayon po, mas okay na ma'am ito.
Mabili pa ako ngayon dito ng sabaw. Gusto yung tinda ko. Kanina, gano'n.
Ikinatuwa rin ng mga mamimili ngayong marami na muli ang nagtitinda. Tulad ng dumayo pa na sina Nanay Lota mula Cavite at Sir Ryan Chua mula Cainta.
Okay na yung ganito, malinis. Ang ibig ko sabihin, malayo sa mga panduro. Safe kami kasi hindi kami nakikipagsiksikan, lalo na ako, senyora ko.
Okay na uli, hindi katulad last week. 0. So, makakain namin yung favorite burger namin.
Malaking ginhawa raw para sa kanila rito. Rito, at rito ang kanilang pagbabalik pwesto. Pero ang tanong, sino-sino na nga ba ang mga kumambak?
Kami!
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 Kami! Kami! Pero teka, hindi pa pala lahat ng vendor ay nakabalik na. Tila ang mga unang may pwesto na binabayaran ng permit to operate sa harap at gilid ng simbahan ng Quiapo ang nandito pa lang, pati sa mga side street na may permiso rin ng munisipyo. Kaya nananatiling waiting game pa rin ang mga minsay nagtrending sa kabaan ng Carriedo kung saan sila pupwesto. Pero anila, handa silang maghintay.
Worth it po talaga yung paghihintay dahil may naririnig din po ako na meron silang paglalagyan. Konting hintay-hintay lang pero may plano po para hindi lang po makaabal sa mga tao na namimili talaga. Non-negotiable ang Carriedo, dun tayo sa pwede kung saan kami.
Pero habang hindi pa buo ang pagbabalik ng vendors, ay patuloy raw ang pag-aayos sa Maynila, lalo na sa mga sirang daanan.
Hindi nadaanan. Mga butas-butas, nilalagyan ng topping para pantay yung lalakatan nila.
Nagsisimula pa lang ang trabaho para sa mas malinis at maayos na lungsod. Pero anila, sana raw sa mga planong ilulunsad, ang pangakong walang mapag-iiwanan ay matutupad. Mobile journalist Merymon Reyes po, hatid ang mukha ng balita.
Now in weather, the southwest monsoon or habagat is affecting most parts of the country. Scattered rains are expected over Metro Manila, Ilocos, Cordillera Region, or Central Luzon, Calabarzon, Zamboanga Peninsula, and Bangsamoro regions, as well as in Batanes, Occidental Mindoro, Palawan, Antique, Aklan, Sultan Kudarat, and Babuyan Islands. The rest of the country may expect isolated rains also due to the habagat. No low-pressure areas is being monitored inside the Philippine Area of Responsibility.
And before we let you go, I'd like to leave everyone with a quote. Perseverance is failing 19 times and succeeding the 20th. From Julie Andrews. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III, BR1 News.
All sides, all the time.